Oh my god, I can't watch this.
No, he's good. He's good. Kind of. He has avenues of winning. No, maybe not anymore. The time's definitely.
Unbelievable! Holy shit! Oh my god!
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's BornFree here. I am at Canada Cup 2017 and I have Chi-rithy with me here. Legendary Kami player in Street Fighter 4. And now I think you're playing, are you playing Chun or Karin or both?
I'm playing both, but my main is Karin right now.
Okay, well we'll talk about that in a little bit, actually, a little bit more about that. Let's start off with, let's talk about Canada. Let's talk about the Canadian FGC, right? What's the status of the Canadian FGC right now? Because in Ultra Street Fighter 4, there was you and there was Air and there was a few others who were like really very well known. And right now, Canada, you know, what's going on? Like, is it strong? Is it like, are people not traveling enough? Like, what's the deal?
Well, there's multiple factors. For example, as you mentioned before, there's not a lot of players are not traveling. And the player base is not as big compared to the US or in Asia. And there's only a few players that make it happen, like myself, Air, and JS Master, who used to do, he did really well at the first Canada Cup. He beat Yoshimi Team Japan, basically, and he got known after that. Okay. So, yeah.
So what does Canada, I'm getting stuck into this straight away, but what does Canada need to do right now in your eyes? If you could control somehow the Canadian FGC, what would you want them to do in order to get stronger right now?
Well, since the player base is not as big, players really need to travel. That's where you get the experience, and then you share those experience with the community, and then we'll grow. Even though it's not, even though the community is not as big as the other cities, it's still something to gain, and we just grow from that.
Fair enough. Now, you did actually travel recently, right? Because you were with RedBull Proving Grounds, right? Tell me, you won, which area was it? Was it Montreal? Or?
Montreal, yes.
You won Montreal, and then you got flown to Chicago. How was that experience?
It was nice. Well, RedBull paid for everything, accommodations, and they treat us like kings, like every player like kings, so it was really nice. And all we had to do is, you know, showcase our skills and try to defeat the other opponents in other areas, and that was it.
And how does the team, do you like the team tournaments?
For Street Fighter 5, I really like it because it showcases more characters and you are actually playing as a team and not for yourself. So it brings another element to the tournament scene, I would say. Okay.
So you had a lot of success in Street Fighter 4, right? Like, at one point you were the best Kami in the world. Do you feel like that was a game that you preferred to play? Do you feel like it's gotten harder? There's more competition now. Do you feel like you've gelled? Do you like with Chun or Karin? Like, where are you at with Street Fighter 5 compared to Street Fighter 4?
Street Fighter 5 was an interesting start because to me, when I first played it, I compared it had similarities to Third Strike, such as the dash, the speed of the dashes, or the throw lips in the corner. So at first I liked it, but then the negative flags came out, like the input lag, and then the big damage for just from doing one mistake. And to me right now, it's really hard to take it seriously because you could play on point for maybe 90 seconds and then you would get crush countered and then all your efforts just get thrown to waste and that's it.
Okay, so it's safe to say that you prefer Street Fighter 4.
Yes.
And maybe even Third Strike. Actually, which one's your favorite?
Third Strike will always be my favorite game.
Okay, there's a bunch of people out there who will be like cheering for you for saying that. So I want to let's go back in time a little bit. So did you start with Third Strike? Was that the first game you took seriously?
Yeah, since I saw the famous Evo video, Daigo against Justin, and then I started playing competitively after that.
And when was that? Was that before Street Fighter 4 came out, or were you literally playing Third Strike while 4 was out, or?
I was playing Third Strike in 2004 when it came out on PS2. It came out on the Street Fighter bundle called Anniversary Collection. It had the Hyper Street Fighter 2 and then Third Strike, and that's when I first played that game.
You did, okay. And there was a scene here for that?
Yeah, in Montreal. It's funny because to me, I started playing seriously, with my older brother and stuff. And for 2 years, I've learned about the FGC scene, like in America and in Japan. Yeah. But I never took the time to see if there was any scene in Montreal. So I went into SRK, and I noticed there was a world matchmaking. Yeah. And then I was like, it said that, Canada has a scene. So I just typed up, what's up, guys? And then the rest is history. And
that's how you got better. Yeah. You played Third Strike. You were, like I said, at one point you were the best cameo in the world. You got, Street Fighter 5. You've got a bunch of accomplishments. What's been your proudest moment in fighting games?
I told this one many times, especially last year, because, the one big moment I had was when I went to NEC when I was 17. Right now I'm 27, so it was a long time ago. Yeah. That was my first American major, and it was a Third Strike tournament, and there were 100 people who entered that game, and that was way back when the scene was still underground. So grand finals was like 4 out of 7, and there weren't like no headphones or no streams. Yeah. So it was very, very underground. And grand finals was me against Justin Wong. And he wasn't sent to losers by one of my buddies from Ottawa. Shout out to CB, by the way. And I still remember. And it was me, him, grand finals, 4 out of 7. He reset the bracket, and then he came down into last round, and I ended up taking the tournament. And
I didn't know that, so my immediate reaction is to congratulate you for something that happened 10 years ago. Yeah. That's amazing, man. So that was a Chun mirror, was it?
Chun-Li mirror, yeah.
Okay, wow. Amazing. So let's come forward now 10 years, and I want to ask you, you're playing Chun and Karin. You just said Karin more now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Why do you play Karin?
It's funny because Chun-Li is usually my main character in most Street Fighter games because I like her playstyle. Good walk speed, good pokes that leads into big damage. That's what she's known for, right? And then this season, it's not more about the Fireball game, so I played Karin, which is kind of the same style, and that's pretty much why.
Okay, so similar style to what you're used to. All right, that makes sense. Talking of styles, players. Who are your favorite players to watch right now, other than yourself?
Honestly, I don't watch myself that much, so that's probably one of the main reasons.
I'm messing with you.
It used to be Punk because his Karin is very phenomenal to watch. So like the consistency, the optimization. And nowadays, I really like watching Tokido because he just reminds me and other players that no matter what the state of the game is, you have to abuse the system of the game, no matter what. And that's why I was really happy when he won Evo as well. So
I think actually Tokido winning Evo with Akuma was one of the best things that could have happened to Street Fighter 5 because he's such an interesting character, both the player and the character.
Yes.
So I totally agree with you on that, but I'm a fanboy, so whatever.
Okay. I think we're all fanboys of Tokido at this
point. Right? All right, so games that, what are you playing at the moment? Are you just playing Street Fighter 5? Are you playing other games? Have you got other games on the horizon that you're thinking, I want to play those games?
Well, I wanted to play Guilty Gear, the new Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
And also just go back to the grassroots games like Third Strike and Super Turbo, just because there's always been tournaments for these games in every major, so I might as well go back and just see like players play for high level play and don't need to bother with, you know, the sponsors or the fame money and stuff like that. And, yeah.
Playing for pride.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember Daigo saying something about that after E-League. All right, let's move on to, this is like the hot topic at the moment is Zeku. Have you had a chance to play him or watch him on videos or anything like that?
I've only watched a few videos, and the one thing I like about him is that he's reminiscent of Guy from the Alpha series.
Okay.
And he's just such a stylish character, and I would love to see a lot of players play him, and it's just interesting overall. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you would consider him, or you think that's not my type of character?
I don't think he's my type of character because he looks like you have to play him in a rushdown style, so that's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Season 2 characters in general, right? What have you thought of the season 2 characters? They're all new, apart from Akuma. They're all new. Do any of them stand out? Do you think they're interesting? Do you like them? Like, what are your thoughts overall on the season 2 characters?
Do you mean the DLC for season 2?
Yeah.
I think they're super interesting. It's not traditional Street Fighter characters. Like you would see a few elements from Air Dasher games like Guilty Gear. Like you see Manat with the balls. That's reminiscent of Venom from Guilty Gear, right? So I think it's very nice to just bring all kinds of styles in the Street Fighter franchise, because Street Fighter is the one that started it all, right? So might as well bring everything in that. And that's it.
Fair enough. Now, Arcade Edition, right? It was announced. You know, it's like a lot of single player content. Looks interesting and fun, actually. You know, rather than just a esports, bare bones esports thing. It looks like it's gonna be fun. 2 V triggers. What are your hopes? You know, for Arcade Edition, because I'm sure they're gonna make more changes than that. What are your hopes in regards to, you know, the gameplay of Street Fighter as we move forward into Arcade Edition?
Well, I just hope that just because it's named Arcade Edition, it doesn't just mean that it's going to feature arcade mode or something like that. I hope it gets featured in the arcades in Japan.
Okay.
Because like moments ago, I just met with Pepe Dai, the Forte player, Japanese Forte, and he said that he doesn't play Street Fighter 5 because it's just not in the arcade. Like, it's not about the game itself or anything like that. So I just feel like it's such a missed opportunity. And there's, as we've seen throughout the years, there's so much talent in Japanese players, right? So I hope it would get released in arcades. And besides that, I just want them to really make it a complete product. You know, like just revamp the UI, have a lot of single player content for, you know, the casual players, because at the end of the day you need to please the casual crowd anyways, right? And then as for the competitive the gameplay itself, I wish that they would just focus on one direction, because you know how ST, it's more about zoning, like fireball zoning, right? And then Third Strike is like more footsie based. And there's no fireball zoning in that because of the parries. I just feel like Street Fighter 5, they really just need to stick to one direction. Choose one, footsies or zoning, or both. Kind of like Street Fighter 4. You could play the fireball zoning or play a bit of footsies, but it's not really concentrated on both aspects, right? So, and Street Fighter 5, right now, it feels like a mix of, you know, Mortal Kombat or Marvel, because you just dash in it and you do whatever you want, right? Because you cannot react or whatnot. And Street Fighter, it's known for zoning. So just choose one, like focus on one direction, and that would be nice of them to do that.
Okay, that makes sense. Season 3, I think it's pretty obvious that Season 3 is going to be returning characters. You got any characters you really want to see return?
It's funny because they brought almost everybody in Ultra Street Fighter 4. I would rename that title to Street Fighter All-Stars at that point because there were so many characters in that game. But if there was one returning character I would like to see is Oro just because I think he's probably the only missing character. I want to see him in, like, you know, full HD and stuff. So
I would love to see that. I think those characters, I think they're so interesting. Like Oro just is such a funny character, you know.
and you can do it for the lore too, because he becomes a Ryu's master at the end of the day. So
I love it. I love it. I totally agree with you. I'd like to see Oro too, actually, to be honest. Okay, so looking towards Capcom Cup, who do you think is going to take Capcom Cup? Have you got like who are your like top 3 players to take that, or do you have any dark horses?
well, it's funny you say that, because throughout the season, like, the only 2 players that would say they could take a tournament would be Knuckle Doo and Punk.
Okay.
Those 2 have been like the most consistent throughout the year. But now Tokido has been on a rampage in recent times, like Evo, and then he won ESL. So those are my top 3. And honestly, for Capcom Cup, it's gonna be so interesting, because I think if you look at the CPT leaderboards, if you look at the top 10, they can all probably take it too, to be honest.
Are you going to go to the last chance qualifier?
I'll try, but most probably not.
Okay. Everyone seems to be like considering it, you know. All right, so Street Fighter 4 is a big deal here. Do you still play that game? You know, because it feels like here there's a little bit of a resurgence going on. Maybe just led by Lapchi, I don't know, or if it's a Canadian thing. Like, do you play Street Fighter 4 much?
Not too much these days, but it's when you go back to older titles, it's like riding a bike. Like, you play for a bit and then it just comes back to you anyway. So, and especially Street Fighter 4, it's like the Street Fighter I spent the most time with too, compared to like Third Strike or Street Fighter 5. So because the game's been out for how long? Maybe 7-8 years, something like that. So
yeah. It's a long time. Most players, that is the game they spent the most time with nowadays. Yes. You know. Before we close out, I just want to learn a little bit more about you, right? So outside of Street Fighter, are you a video gamer, or are you just like a fighting game guy? And if you are a video gamer, what do you play?
Well, I've been a gamer for most of my lifespan. My favorite console is the Super Nintendo. It features some of my favorite titles of all time, like Super Metroid and Mega Man and all those stuff. And if there was one series I would consider my favorite in the current era, it'll be Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because it's so reminiscent of the older games where, like, the game doesn't guide you the whole way too. You have to figure out everything yourself. So I think that's why you see a lot more companies going throughout that direction, you know? So I think that's, Yeah,
there's a lot more games like that. Even Zelda, it's not hand-holding as it used to be, and it's got some really hard elements to it. It's interesting. Anyway, Dark Souls I've only played Bloodborne. I loved it, so at some point I'll have to get into Dark Souls. But
me too.
It's quite a commitment for me.
For sure.
What else? Is there other stuff in your life like you know? There's fighting games, right? But like, what else do you get up to? Have you got any other passions? Like, it could be movies. It could be, you know, going to the gym. It could be whatever. Like, what does your life look like outside of fighting games?
Well, usually I work most of the time. So I work at this restaurant called Sati Brothers right here.
Okay.
It's a Singaporean / Malaysian restaurant, and like most of the reason why I work there is that the owners are really supportive of my hobby, and you know they let me go to all the tournaments, and you know it's a nice place too, really good food. So if you're in Montreal, please go there if you can. And I worked there maybe 40 or 50 hours, and then at the same time I go to school at McGill University in Montreal, and then at night. And I'm trying to get a bachelor degree in marketing.
We should talk. I used to work in advertising. That's awesome, man. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't even know how you have time for fighting games, to be perfectly honest.
Well, that's the one good point about Street Fighter 5. Like, when you reach certain level, you don't need as much practice because the execution part is not there anymore. So
right, it's not third strike. You don't have to spend like 3 months in your mum's basement to learn one combo, you know?
Yeah, that's the one good thing I like about the game, so at least.
All right, well, that's cool. Is there anything else that's on top of your mind? Anything you want to say, like any topic that you wanted to broach, whether it be Canadian FGC or Street Fighter 5 or anything like that?
I would just like to, just give a shout out to the Canadian FGC overall. I mean, they've been a big part of my life. They've been family pretty much. And, shout outs to Canada Cup Gaming, obviously. Not only they do a lot of good events like these, they also sponsor me, for a time, right? So big shout outs to them. And then also shout outs to MTLSF. They run most of the tournaments in Montreal, and they've been supportive of the scene since forever. And you guys can check out the Versus City Center. It's one of the locals we play at, and it just opened. So that'd be nice. Give them a quick like and follow, obviously. And just shout outs to the whole FGC. Just keep playing, keep the passion alive. And, I know like these days there's lots of things going on, like the esports scenes. Trying to not really trying to take over, like a lot of people.
There's growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. There's growing pains.
There's growing pains.
But I just want to remind everybody that just play for the love of the game, like for the high level play, like all the fame, money, sponsors, the pride. It's all nice, but just focus on your play style, your gameplay, be on point, and all these extra stuff. They're gonna come to you naturally. Like because I've been victim to it, like when I was sponsored, I was thinking too much about the extra stuff and I wasn't really focusing on my game plan. So that's why it's really important for people to really pay for the passion of the series. And that's why that's what I like about the Daigo's recent event. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Kinomichi. It's about putting two players against each other, like two legends pretty much. And he interviews them, and he just wants them to know, what are your thoughts against that guy? And like for example, he interviewed Anakin, a Street Fighter 2 legend. He says that he's going up against a gal, and he says that I never lost to a guy before. And to me, it's like people need those rivalries back. That's one of the main reasons why you should play fighting games. Anyways, right? It's 1-1-1. You just need to focus on opponent, and that's it.
So pride is on the line.
Yeah, just pride, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I do actually have a bonus question for you because since I'm here in Canada, are there any players that you think are on the up in Canada? I know there's probably a number, but is there anyone we should keep our eye on?
Well, you guys should look out for Elias. He's one of the Bison players that travel a lot in recent times. And you guys should also check out Brutus and Toffee. She's a Ibuki player, and both of them are very young right now. Like they're kind of like the prodigies of Canada.
Toffee is somebody that I want to interview, but it's like she's a 14-year-old girl, so I'm like, only if it's at a tournament with supervision,
For sure. But yeah, I think those three players, you should definitely look out for them.
Yeah, Brutus looked good yesterday. So.
Yes, he almost ulti Team Japan, and it would have been our first time to ever beat Team Japan in the 5-on-5. So it was a shame, but at least we were almost there. So
yeah, it was amazing. It was really fun to watch. All right, man. Thank you for taking time out. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And I'm glad I came to Canada Cup because I think it's awesome. And good luck to you. I know what are you playing next? Street Fighter 4, I think?
Street Fighter 4 and ST.
Well, good luck to you in both those competitions. And we're going to say goodbye to these guys. Bye, guys.